Yo, Beth. That shit crazy.
On a Saturday! It's All Even with your boy Barry Grant. You can catch me on Instagram and Twitter at All Even Podcast. You can listen to the show on SoundCloud as well as YouTube, Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, and wherever you find your podcasts available. And trust me, go to YouTube, hit that subscribe button, like, share, comment, because the page is growing, baby. That All Even wave. I keep telling y'all, don't get caught on the corner and the bus is just driving off. You want to be on that bus. You want to be on that All Even wave. Lots to get into. Jacob Degrom continues to amaze and puts himself in the discussion as greatest Met pitcher of all time. I'll discuss that. Phone a Friend is back with fellow podcaster Courtney Harden. We're definitely going to have a good conversation. Lots to talk about: NFL, NBA, and then the greatest segment on the planet, Dummy of the Week. So let's just jump right into it. Sometimes I don't know what I'm watching. Sometimes I'll watch a Met game and, I'll be so emotional. I'll be angry because we might have given up the lead. Bullpen blows the lead. We lose the game. Somebody's not hitting. But when Jacob Degrom is pitching, it's a different feeling. It's a feeling of joy, of just pure jubilation. Sometimes it can get a little dicey because, the Mets don't score any runs for him. And he continues to not get any wins. But what we're witnessing right now out of Jacob Degrom is something that I've never witnessed in my lifetime. I've never seen a guy literally be unhittable. Jacob Degrom last night, 15 strikeouts. He even had 2 hits, had an RBI, got a win. He's 2-1 on the season. And I'm starting to think this is something special, what we're seeing. This is a once-in-a-generation type of pitcher. He really is. A guy that just has captivated New York, has captivated the baseball world. And I'm starting to think, is he the best pitcher that the Mets have ever had? Obviously, when we think about greatest pitchers in Met history, Tom Seaver, rest in peace, is at the top of that list. So does he compare to Tom Seaver, in my opinion? I am going to say yes. Listen, I know that the numbers in regards to wins are not there. But when we talk about strikeouts to walk ratio, ERA, very, very eerily similar. Tom Seaver in his career with the Mets, 12 years, 198 wins, a 2.57 ERA. Jacob Degrom, 8 years with the Mets, 72-52 record, a 2.55 ERA. See what I'm talking about? Eerily similar. Now, obviously, the wins will never be there for Jacob Degrom to even come close to Tom Seaver's 300-plus wins or even 198 wins in a Met uniform. But Jacob Degrom's impact and what he's done with this franchise is very close. I'm not saying that he's going to be better than Seaver, but there's a conversation to be had. There's definitely a conversation to be had. Jacob Degrom, to me, is the best pitcher in baseball. It's not even close. I don't care about the Shane Biebers, the Walker Buehlers, Garrett Coles. None of those guys touch Jacob Degrom. And if Jacob Degrom had the run support and the wins, it would be undeniable to everyone. The man had 15 strikeouts last night. 2 RB, it's like 15 strikeouts is the norm for this guy. He is phenomenal. And for where he came from, being a shortstop in the system and not being that great. And then he ends up converting himself into a pitcher. And then he has that great game against the Yankees in the Subway Series. And that was his welcome to the major leagues moment, where he was so dominant. And, we always say that, okay, when there's no book on a pitcher, you're always going to look better. There's been 8 years. 8 years of information, 8 years of tape, books on Jacob Degrom, and it's all the same result. Degromination. Domination of these batters, dominating New York. And hell, the only thing that's left for him to do is win a World Series in a Met uniform. You got Yankee fans talking about, oh, well, I feel sorry for Jacob Degrom. He's not getting any wins with you guys. He'll be in pinstripes soon. Like, no. He's never going to be in pinstripes. The only pinstripes he will be in is in Met pinstripes. He's not going anywhere. The Mets are not going to make the same mistake trading Degrom just like how they traded SEAVER. They're not gonna do it. It almost shocked me yesterday. I was watching the game, and then I look up and I say, it's 4-0. When the hell was the last time the Mets scored 4 runs for Jake? And listen, he even contributed to the runs last night, so 3. It's just utterly insane how focused and how locked in and how dialed in this guy is. Every start is a quality start. And every time he goes out there, the Mets should be winning these games. But they don't. But how he can be able to stop a losing streak. The Mets just got swept by the Cubs. And he stops the losing streak right in its tracks. Doesn't give up a run. Dominates the entire lineup twice over. And I ain't gonna lie to you, a little tear came to my eye. Like, this is beautiful. It's beautiful. How is this man so great? Now I understand why Tom Brady fans feel the way they feel. Like, how emotional they get when they watch Brady. That's how I feel about Jacob Degrom. It's great. Tom Seaver is not here anymore to witness such greatness. But I hope that we end up winning a World Series for him. I hope we end up winning a World Series to just put a cherry on the top of this phenomenal career, this great story of this meteoric rise of this nobody that just came out of nowhere and dominated baseball and made us all proud, all of us proud to be Met fans. Coming up after the break, Phone a Friend with my man COURTNEY Harden on a Saturday. It's all leaving. I've had so many people tell me that Anchor is great. Anchor is this, Anchor is that. But I have to tell you, man, those people were right. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your own podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Why wait? Get at it now. Welcome back, y'all. So now to my favorite segment, Phone a Friend.
Call him up, 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 call him up. We competing for a reason, trying to stay undefeated, yeah. Call him up, 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 call him up. Biggest game of the season, don't lie, we're all leaving, yeah.
Who we have on the show today is a fellow podcaster like myself. He is the host of his own podcast, The Real Deal with COURTNEY Harden. Welcome to the show, my man, COURTNEY Harden.
Thanks, man. Thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it. Big fan of your show. It's glad to be on, man. It's glad to, just to be on another podcast and just talk some sports.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely. I reached out to you because, I definitely like your work.
Thank you.
We have some mutual friends as well. I seen that you had Gabby Rosenthal on your show,
Yep.
Niffin on your show. So, shouts to them. Definitely good people. So, let's kind of get into your origin story, COURTNEY, because, we all get into sports or we all love sports, but we all have different backgrounds. And what made you go the podcast route? Like, what was it that actually, made you kind of, go into that particular field?
Wow. Yeah. So, yeah, from the beginning, growing up, watching sports, loving the whole thing of just competition, played sports throughout, my high school, junior high school, and just being a fan, of the, of sports. And, and then being fans of like, I used to love reading the sports section of the newspaper. I've
Right.
always loved that. Sports magazines, Sports Illustrated, definitely back in the day. And the Sporting News, I remember I think they still have their website's still up too. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, just getting that, reading stats, collecting cards, all those things I did. Research, and that's the one thing I still love to do is just do researching on players, scouting reports, all that. I've always been committed to that. So,
Nice.
yeah, debating with my friends, arguing with my friends, and everything, and who's the best player, who's the best teams, and all this. And then, just a lot of times my friends will always say, "Dang, you should do radio. Like you love sports that much, you love talking about it, you love always arguing about it. You should do radio." And I kind of wanted to do it, but I was never, when we were young, was just never wanted to commit to it. I was like, yeah, I do this for fun, but I definitely wanted to do radio, but I didn't want to put the work in that way. So, so fast forward to later, I'll say like 2014, I started writing for a couple of websites. And then one of the websites, they said, "You want to start a podcast?"
Nice.
And I said, yeah. I said, let's do it. I've always kind of wanted to do it. So this might be my time to do it. Like, before,
Right.
didn't want to commit to it. So I committed to it. So then had a podcast called The Takeover. That was in 2014. That's when it all started. Continued to do it for a long time. Got burnt out, sat out a year in 2018, came back in 2019. That's when I started the real deal with Courtney Harden. Got to give a shout out to my wife. She pushed me and continues to keep pushing me. She said,
Nice.
you committed, you want to commit to this, that you need to just do it. You just need to do it full time. Just, start that podcast, get it with some people, like you said, some mutual friends that we know.
Right.
And, just commit to it. So I got to definitely give her a lot of credit for pushing me back into doing this. So that's where the real deal with Courtney Harden started. And from there, that's where it started since 2014.
Awesome. Now, you mentioned something pretty interesting in regards to burnout. Now, I've heard this word thrown around a lot, with my fellow podcasters, people that I speak to, even in different industries as well. But, kind of take me through that. You don't have to really go into anything personal, but that burnout, was it more of like, okay, I'm doing too much and I need to slow down, or was it just like, I need to pursue something else right now because I'm kind of, I lack the motivation or the inspiration to do this right now, and maybe I need to step away?
Yeah, that's a good question. And yes, the burnout's a real thing. And I think it's a combination of both.
Yeah.
I think I was putting out so much content like every week from 2014 to 2018. I was putting out content almost every single week, sometimes twice, 2-3 times a week.
Yeah.
And I was committed. Like I was just, this is all I want to do is just to put out content, just to get my voice heard and trying to elevate the podcast. So that was a lot of that. And I think that just burnt me out. And then it started to get like, I'm only doing it just to do it. Now I'm just like, I need to put out a show on Saturday. And then boom, I put out a show Saturday, but I felt like I wasn't giving it my all later on. So that burned me out. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to just take this. I didn't think it was going to be a year, but it felt good to kind of just, refresh.
Yeah.
And, rejuvenate yourself. And at that time, I thought about not even doing it anymore, but there was so much sport news, how it is. Sport news
of course,
all the time.
Constant.
Not just even sports, just in general. And I was like, man, I still want to talk about this thing. And so, like I said, my wife talked, she said, why don't you just reach out to some of these other, some other people that do this. And now you could take those breaks. You could take it. I know one thing is consistency is always best.
Yes.
So, but now I take breaks now. I'm like, okay, for my own mental health, I'll take a break. I'm not going to do a show this Saturday. I want to do something else. So yeah, burnout is definitely a real thing. So it's all about, to me, committing. You definitely want to be consistent. And I talk with some other people that say they'll do a show for like 6 months and then they'll sit out for a couple of months. They'll say, oh, season 1 was this, and then we're going to sit out 2-3 months, and we're going to come back in season 2 3 months later. So I'll do that. So yeah, I think taking breaks is definitely something that we all should do just in general.
Yeah, no, that's great the way you kind of explain that, and shouts to you for even realizing that, because a lot of
Mhm.
people, especially in our culture, especially in the Black culture, like we just feel
Yeah.
that we just got to push through all the time, and
Mhm.
if we stop, it's a sign of weakness, or we're not doing anything, or it's like, you know what I mean. But the fact
Yeah.
that you can be able to recognize and say, listen, I need to step away because creatively, I'm not there, my passion is not there, and I
Yep.
don't want to put out a show that's subpar, so why do it? You know what I mean? Like, so
Right.
I
Right.
understand that, because I've been doing this since last July, and my friend, shouts to him, John on the Fan Perspective podcast, he calls me 24/7 Barry because I don't stop. It's it's
Right.
it's it's continuous content, and I hope that I never get to that burnout phase, but speaking to more people, it's something that I'm aware of, and something that I'm
Right.
always going to be aware of, and not, if that feeling starts to creep up, I know exactly what it is, and I need to kind of like address it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I definitely kudos to you for even realizing that, because a lot of people don't.
Yeah, and that's true. And then another thing you said, yeah, it's okay to take a little break. Like, I mean, you don't have to take months off. You can
Yeah.
take like a day or two. Like we talked about earlier, Nathan Ramachandra.
Yes.
He grinds. I mean, he puts out 3-4 shows a day, and me and him talk all the time. And he always asks, like, should I take a break? I said, you might have to, you might need to, because if you don't, you will burn yourself. I mean, you will burn yourself out. Like, take a weekend. Take
Right.
that weekend off. We know you're going to come back in on that Monday and grind it out. It doesn't question your work ethic, your hard work that you put in. It's just that you got to take for yourself. And sometimes life happens too. Like
Of course.
you have family, and some have kids and things like that. Others have other jobs. Like, I mean, with the podcast, what I do for the podcast, this is, to me, I mean, this is not my full-time job. I have a full-time job,
Right.
and if I don't feel like putting the podcast out, I'll sometimes have to reschedule or do these things, and I'm okay with that. And people understand, like, yeah, let's set it up for another day. I mean, I need a day or two just to take off and just to relax my mind or whatever, or you got something else going on. So yeah, I try to space it out now, where I have shows, like even this week, like sometimes I'll put out 2-3 shows a week, but this week I didn't put out a show till today. Like,
Right.
so I took the whole week off, and I was good with that. I'm like, yes, this is cool. So
Yeah.
yeah, I totally agree. I think it's good to take those necessary breaks, and when you need to.
Nah, that's definitely, and shouts to you for that. Like I said,
Yeah,
um,
thank you.
I listened to your show with Gabby. What's her last name? I always forget.
Rosenthal,
No, the Gabby in Baltimore.
Hurlbutt,
Yeah,
Hurlbutt,
her, but
yeah,
yeah,
yep.
she's
Shout out to
very
her.
very knowledgeable. Shouts to her. Boston Ballin. I
Yeah,
like that
possible.
pod that you
Yes.
guys had. So where are you from? Are you from Pennsylvania? You from Philly? Or like where are you from?
No, I'm actually from upstate New York.
Okay.
Born and raised. Shout out to upstate New York, Elmira, and I've lived in Philly for the last 8 years now.
Okay.
So, but been a big, huge Eagles fan, as you
Yeah.
see. So huge Eagles fan. But yeah, so but yeah, shout out to Gabby Hurlbutt, as you said, the connection and everything too, from that. So just reached out to her and found her on Facebook, and then we had a connection. She was on my show, and that's where the connection came from.
Yeah, definitely, man, definitely. So I guess we'll kind of segue into the biggest topic right now.
Okay.
It's on everybody's mind. It's the NFL draft.
Yep.
Everybody is going nuts over this NFL draft, Courtney. People don't know who's going where and what teams may be trading up. So, you know, I am fascinated by the quarterback position in the draft. We have the top 5 quarterbacks in the draft. You have Mac Jones, you have Lawrence, you have Wilson, you have Trey Lance, and you have Justin Fields. Now, I said on my show, I think it was, yes, Tuesday, that I ranked them. I have Wilson 5. I
Okay.
had Justin Fields 4. I
Okay.
had Mac Jones 3, Trey Lance 2, and I had Lawrence at 1. And being down here or being over here in New York, of course the Jets are the big thing right now. You know,
Yeah.
they are the franchise that's trying to get right. And to me, I don't see what they see in Zach Wilson, Courtney. I really don't. I don't see the magic there. I don't see the special. He may be a very good quarterback if he's surrounded with the necessary pieces. I still don't see special with him because everybody goes crazy about pro days. It's kids that are throwing in shorts. There's no defense. They're throwing to a wide receiver that's fast as hell, can be able to catch most things. So it's like, I don't see that as impressive. And then, you know, going a little forward into this, he played at BYU, not heavy competition. The one time he did play against some stern competition in Coastal Carolina, he had a pedestrian game. So if I have anything to be able to look at and say that, hey, maybe he doesn't do well against steep competition, that concerns me. Like, you know, what are your thoughts on that?
I agree. I think that competition really is key to, you know, when you're drafting, and I'm intrigued by the draft too, just like you are. I'm always loving to see where these players go, and where, you know, where they're committed to and things like that. So I agree with you with the BYU and Zach Wilson, because I think with him, maybe he's got 6'3", 210, so he's got some size. And he's impressed, but I agree with you with the you know, pro days and the combine. I'm never impressed with that, because as you said, it's players in shorts that are running, they're you know, they're jumping, they're throwing, they're doing all these things, but there's no defense. To me, it comes down when you play on Sunday. That's where you can see, or even Saturday when you're playing on Saturday. That's where you can get your game tapes, and that's where you get your, you know, your scouting reports from. I don't know why. To me, I just did a show, like I said, I just did a show about an hour ago. We were talking NFL draft. We were talking about the quarterbacks, and they said this: Trevor Lawrence is the most talented QB. I think he's the guy that I think is going to move the needle when it comes to the QB position. I think all the hype, I think is real. I think it's going to be real and everything with him. But to me, I you know, I still, I'm a Justin Fields guy. I don't know why the question now of him slipping in the draft. And I don't get that. I don't know why the Jets at number 2 just don't commit to Justin Fields. You know, he's played the competition. He's been in these big games and played well in these big games. He was in the national championship. He was in the playoffs, you know, the college playoffs. And he went toe-to-toe with Trevor Lawrence and Mac Jones. So it's not like, you know, so he has the competition. He has the resume to do this. So, you know, I don't know, like I said, the hype of Zach Wilson. I like Trey Lance. I think he should be, you know, maybe higher up in there in that range too.
I think he may be the most talented quarterback.
Right. The upside, the athleticism, and everything about him, I think fits what a lot of teams are looking for. But I don't know. I mean, maybe Zach Wilson, he impressed the Jets enough to be number 2, but
that's not saying much, Courtney.
That's not saying much at all, right? But I feel like Fields is to me is more talented than Zach Wilson.
I agree. Now you made a good point about Justin Fields, is that he's playing against stern competition, Big Ten. He plays the big schools, and he's went toe to toe with big guys. But I think here's the knock on him. Here's what I see, and then here's what other people see. The one thing I see that kind of puts him down a peg to me, not much, just puts him down a peg, is his mechanics. I don't like his mechanics. I think that he's young enough, and it all depends on where he goes for them to be able to correct those errors that he has throwing the football in regards to, you know, how he throws it. But those things can be fixed.
Yeah.
Athleticism, his speed, you know, his escapability, those things you can't teach. And he has those qualities. So I like that. But what I think is the problem why he may be slipping in a lot of people's minds and boards is that he plays at Ohio State, Courtney.
And
most quarterbacks that come out of Ohio State, they flush out. Cardell Jones. You know, the list goes on. Like
Greg McElroy,
they just don't produce in the NFL. And I think that scares a lot of people because it's like they always have this prototypical type of quarterback, mobile, be able to has a big arm. It works in college, but for some reason it doesn't translate into the NFL. So maybe that's why they're kind of knocking him down a bit, but it shouldn't knock him down outside of the top 6. It really shouldn't.
It shouldn't.
I think that he should still go top 6.
I agree. I totally agree. And I get the knock. I do. I think you said mechanically, I think his mechanics could be fixed. And we've seen a lot of quarterbacks have a lot of different, mechanical flaws in their game, how they throw the football and things like that. I mean, Phillip Rivers had a terrible mechanics when it comes to throwing the football, but he had a 17-year career.
Right.
So, and productive career for the most part. So yeah, that can be fixed. But as you said, he has all the intangibles. He's been a pretty good leader. He's led Ohio State. And, I was talking with Paige DeMarcos. I was talking with her. I've had her on the show.
Yeah.
She does the Draft Network. Shout out to her.
Nice.
And she was breaking down Justin Fields. She was saying Justin Fields should be number 2. He should be right behind.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying
Lawrence.
That. Right.
And I was agreeing with her. I was like, yes, I totally agree. I think he should be 2 or 3 at least, top 3. But she said that we have to maybe get over the stigma of those Ohio State quarterbacks.
Yes.
And I know teams have to say, yes, we have those Cardale Jones, as you said, and Greg McElroy's. They flush out. They don't pan out. But maybe Justin Fields is above them. Maybe he has something that's, maybe different. Maybe he has that it factor. He has the big arm. He has the escapability. He has all the intangibles to be a productive quarterback. But it's going to be one of those things where if he keeps slipping, because right now in a lot of draft boards, he's slipping. Mock drafts, he's slipping outside the top 6, outside the top 10.
Really?
I've seen some draft boards had him at, maybe New England moves up, maybe get him at 10 or something like that. But if he slides, and I don't know why the 49ers, they're all in on Mac Jones. I got no disrespect to Mac Jones. He's a winning quarterback. I just don't think he's going to, move the needle. Maybe he's going to be in that system, but the 49ers maybe should jump on Justin Fields. I think that Fields should be their guy, but they're committed to Mac Jones, so hopefully they don't make that mistake.
Well, we don't know exactly, because the thing is, with Kyle Shanahan, he is a shrewd operator.
He is, yes.
and with this draft, there's a lot of posturing going on. There's a lot of reports that are being pushed out there to kind of take teams away from looking at this player, or maybe feeling pressure to draft somebody else so that the other team can get the player that they want. So there's always a lot of backyard dealings and stuff like that.
Yeah, always.
But listen, I am in the minority here, Courtney. I think that Mac Jones has some special ability. Listen, call me crazy, but hear me out. Hear me out with this.
Yep.
I've never heard of a quarterback that gets vilified for the weapons and where he's gone, except Mac Jones. When we look for quarterbacks in the NFL, Courtney, we always say quarterback needs weapons. He needs an offensive line. He needs all of these things around him so he can be able to win. Mac Jones had that in Alabama. And what did he do? He executed, and he did his job efficiently. Anything that he was asked to do, he did it. Now, granted, of course, he had Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith and all of these great talents, but at the end of the day, you still need to deliver the football to these guys.
Right, exactly.
If he was underthrowing these guys when they're wide open, if they're down the sideline and he's throwing the ball 5 yards out of bounds, they would be killing Mac Jones. He probably wouldn't even get drafted. But we're killing this kid because he played with exceptional talent. That to me is not a great knock. Now, granted, there's a little bit of other stuff that people say that, tight window throws, he didn't execute those as well, but he didn't have to, because those guys were open. They were wide open. And it's like, and it's like, okay, well, he never played from behind. That's not his problem either.
Right.
So it's like, so all of these knocks I hear, it's like, it's not a reason not to take this guy high. I get it, but you can't. There's certain things called winning intangibles, and you can't measure that in the 40 time. You can't measure that in the combine. You can't even measure that with arm strength, because the guy that I always think about that flew under the radar and was dogged in his combine or his grades was Tom Brady. They said he was slow. They said that he didn't play enough at Michigan because he shared snaps with Drew Henson. They said that he didn't have a plus arm. They said that he will always be a backup quarterback. He didn't understand the game as well. What are we talking about now?
Right.
So it's like, it's time to look at guys a little differently. If they're in winning programs and they perform at a high level, they should be celebrated for that instead of that being a knock. Like, I get that guys have their jobs to do. They have to, micro analyze and overanalyze things because all we do is talk about the draft for 4 months until it comes up. But, it's enough already. I've heard enough negative things about Mac Jones. I want to hear more positives because that's what we always do. We always focus on the negatives with certain players. And, to me, it's just, I don't know. I don't get the extreme knock on this kid because he's a winner. He's really a winner.
He's a winner, and you're right. And then the extreme knock, I think that's where we get overboard with it. There should be not that extreme. Like if you knock a player for, like you said, their tangibles, their skill set, or whatever whatever that may be. Okay, so you're just picking them apart. But Mac Jones, he's got something. He's got something for teams to. I mean, if the 49ers pick him at 3, they move up to pick him at 3. There's something they see in him. Right. And you said he was in a winning program. Yes. Is he one of those players maybe he's projected if he's in the right system? Yeah, there's those type of guys. There's just system quarterbacks. But, Joe Burrow, he was in a really great situation 2 years ago.
Elite, right.
Elite. He had elite talent around him.
Right.
And, they didn't knock him because they said, oh, he's got great. He got those pinpoint those passes. He can do these things, arm talent, all this. But yeah, Mac Jones, I don't think the extreme, I just don't, for me, I don't think he's just as good as a couple of those guys ahead of him. And that's knock fair. On him. Yeah, you know what I mean? That's no knock on him. Right. And will he fit maybe in San Francisco? Probably. New England? Maybe. That's a good system for him. Those type of teams, and maybe that's what it is. But like you said, he's got to still deliver the football to these receivers. And we always say quarterbacks are as good as their talent around them, good as their offensive line, blocking for them, and a good running game. To me, that's what makes a really good quarterback. Then there's others like Patrick Mahomes, who, this guy's just outworldly, right? Or Aaron Rodgers, they're outworldly, but they still need talent. They still need to be able to throw football. If not, you'd be like, go with the Eagles. Don McNabb, he never had a lot of great talent around him, So, but it was an exceptional quarterback, but he just never had great talent around him. But he still led the Eagles to a Super Bowl and 5 NFC championships. But you still need talent and people to and offensive line to block for you and receivers to throw the football too.
Yeah, you need all those things. So it just makes me laugh when I hear people talk about Mac Jones and that's the only thing they bring up. Like, well, look what he played with. Like that doesn't make sense. I would love to play with guys like that when I was playing ball. Like I would love to play with all-stars so I can just be able to throw the ball and lob it and get 15, 17 assists a game. That looks better for me. You know what I mean? So
right, exactly.
It's one of those things where I always find funny. But outside of the quarterbacks, Courtney, who do you see that's projected to go into the top 10 falling out of the top
10? That's a really good question. Wow. Let's see. I think like a player like Jalen Waddle, I think he could get out of the top 10 only because of where the teams that need a receiver, like the Cowboys don't need a receiver. I don't think Denver nearly needs a receiver. So teams that are in the top 10 maybe don't need they don't need to go heavy on receiver. Now they're going to fall like outside of the top 10. Devontae Smith maybe might slip maybe to, the Eagles or somebody like that. That could happen, but that's right outside the top 10. So I can see maybe those couple of guys might not make the top 10. Maybe Patrick Surtain, depending on what Dallas does, he might slip outside of the top 10, but not so far outside the top 10. So I think those are a couple of the players that could slip right out of the top 10.
Okay, yeah, I definitely agree with that. Now, you're an Eagles fan, and you guys need a lot of It's not just one thing. You need a myriad.
Right.
So at number 12, what do you want them to get? Like, what is the number one, thing that you want the Eagles to grab?
Right. So we'll talk about the needs first. What they need receiver, they need offensive line help,
Yes.
they need linebacker, they need cornerback,
Right.
and
Definitely need a
safety help,
secondary. Yes.
and secondary help. So those are the needs. Those are the biggest needs. As you said, they need a lot of help. Uh, I think they need to still get a wide receiver. I
Okay.
think they need wide receiver help. And as we talked about, Waddle Smith could be there at 12.
Yeah.
I'm good with either one.
Okay.
I'm good. I loved if they would have stayed at 6 and got Jamar Chase, but now that they slipped, they went back to number 12. I think they need to get one of those two guys, or they could go corner. They could go cornerback as well. So I'm all for if they get a wide receiver or a cornerback.
Okay. Okay. That's fair. Now, I want to see if you agree with me on this, Courtney. I
Mhm.
am sick and tired of hearing about Devontae Smith's weight. I'm sick of it. I'm
Yes.
sick of it. I am
Yes.
so sick of it. This is a kid. He's not even in his grown man body yet.
Right.
And everybody's talking about, well, he's 165 pounds, blah, blah, blah. But can you stop him? Can you jam him at the line and stop him from getting open? That's the problem, because nobody has been able to do that. So it doesn't really matter how big he is, because at the same time, okay, he can get drafted, Courtney, and then by next year, he can put on 20 pounds of muscle.
Yeah.
Year after that, he can put on another 15 pounds of muscle. So
Right.
now we're talking about a kid that's now at what, 190, 195, maybe 200 pounds. We're talking about a different situation. So why is this such a big thing? Why do people have to focus on a guy's weight? The last time we heard about a guy that was probably undersized and maybe 150 pounds or so, he's going into the Hall of Fame, and he's one of the highest scoring point guards of all time. And we're talking about Allen Iverson. So it's like, why do we focus on weight? If the guy can play, he can play.
He can play. Yeah, exactly. If he can play, he's got speed. He can get open. Was a huge, explosive playmaker.
His footwork is crazy.
Yes. So I don't understand that. Like, people talk about size and weight and everything. Okay, we'll go with a receiver, Tyreek Hill.
Right.
Okay, they talk about his size. He's too small. He's this and that. But has anybody been able to stop him?
Can't stop him.
They can't stop him. He's one of the top, to a lot of people, when we talk football, top receivers. Some have him as the best receiver in football, top 3, top 4,
right?
Whatever, wherever you rank him. And he's won a Super Bowl. He's got into another one, and he goes. He's got speed. They can't stop him. Like I say, he goes over the top, and he's got that speed, that sprinter speed.
Yeah,
he's explosive. So I don't think the size thing. They can gain weight. Deshaun Jackson, he was another one. Like, they talked about the man's weight, but one of the best game breakers we've ever seen.
Exactly.
So I like Devontae Smith. They couldn't stop him in college. I think he can gain weight in a year or two. He's still growing into that. Exactly. I agree. Still going to his man body. He's still going to his body. He's a young kid, so he can get that weight and still have that explosiveness, still have that speed. And whoever the team that gets him, they got a good quarterback that can get him the ball, put him in space.
Oh, it's going to be special to watch.
It's a problem. It's going to be a huge problem. So I'm not, like I said, when people talk about the weight of a player, of an athlete, they can gain that weight and they can be a Hall of Fame caliber player.
Definitely. Now, Courtney, I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. I am a Cowboys fan. Okay, I'm gonna put that out. Everybody knows that on my podcast, but you know,
right.
I gotta put it out there and say I'm a Cowboys fan, and I've been driving myself crazy because my owner and GM, God bless him. He likes to put out these little nuggets, and he likes to say that he's enamored with Kyle Pitts, and he's spoken to Kyle Pitts, and maybe there's a possibility that they move up. Now, I've been back and forth with a lot of people with this, fellow Cowboys fans, just fellow people that love football, and I've been telling them that at 10, if Kyle Pitts is on the board, you have to take him. I don't care what the need is. I don't care if you need a quarterback. I don't care if you need an offensive line. If you have that type of Hall of Fame elite potential hybrid model tight end that's available there at number 10, you cannot pass on him. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I saw that. I was just talking about this earlier on my podcast. We were talking about Kyle Pitts and Jerry Jones, and like Jerry Jones, to me, he reminds me of a wrestling promoter.
He's
Like
Vince McMahon.
he's Vince McMahon. He's
Yeah.
Vince McMahon. Yes, and he could sell anything.
Right.
And that's what he was doing. Like he's just like it's almost like, okay, Dallas Cowboys are one of the most well-known organizations we've ever seen in any sport.
Right.
And the billion, they're worth all this money and all this. Even when they're not good, they're still
valuable.
talked about. They're still valuable, right? Exactly. So he had to drum up something because I guess there was not enough publicity. It's not enough. So I think that's what it was. He was trying to drum up things like, okay, like he knew he was going to pay Dak Prescott, but let's just drag this along just to get some talk to the media, and the media eats it up. They just eat it up. And, Jerry Jones, he's a shrewd businessman. He's a shrewd media savant. That's what I call him. And I don't knock him for that. He's really good at smooth operator. Yes, that's a good word for him. So now the Kyle Pitts thing, like I'm on the fence too. Like if he's there at 10, they're going to get him, but they don't. There's not a need. It's like I mean, tight end is a need, but it's not that. That's not the need that I think they need. A corner. I think they need offensive line help before they need a tight end. But as you said, this guy's he's going to be one of those generational talents where he can set up the tight end position as we haven't seen something like this in a while.
Right.
You got a lot of great tight ends in the game right now. Kelsey and Zach Ertz at one point. And George Kittle. So you got a lot of good tight ends now. But something about Pitts, the way he can move, the way that he moves like a receiver. He's got the height, 6'6", 240.
I've never seen anything like it, Courtney.
Me either at all. So if the Cowboys get him with all that talent they already have, they're going to be a dangerous team. They're already dangerous offense as they are right now, and there's just more weapons. My only knock would be there's only one football. We always say this, that there's only one football. How is that going to distribute the football with all those receivers, all those weapons, and then with Kyle Pitts on top of that? And now Zeke wants to get back into being the elite running back too. So how are they going to be able to navigate all that? I mean, that's a great problem to have.
Yeah.
Right. I think they need to go. They need to go corner. I think they need to go corner. Get one of these top corners there, and at that 10 slot.
Yeah, listen, I don't disagree. Like if Kyle Pitts is not there, go after J.C. Horn, go after Patrick Surtain. I'm fine with that. But my thing is this, and this is going to be my sell if Jerry Jones is listening. I am on your side, Jerry. Like, all right, in a scenario, Michael Gallup is in a contract year, right? Yeah. CeeDee Lamb, everybody said that it was a mistake for them to take him last year, but guess what? If Michael Gallup doesn't get retained, CeeDee Lamb now becomes the number 2. So it actually is foreshadowing. It's like it's thinking ahead, right?
Yeah.
My thing is this: Trayvon Diggs, cornerback that we drafted last year, he came on very late last year and played well. He was one of the high-ranked, cornerbacks according to Pro Football Focus in the last, I think, like 5 weeks of the season. So he was starting to understand the NFL game. I see him making a tremendous impact year 2. Now, if you already have a guy like that, and you can be able to say, okay, we take Kyle Pitts here, we can be able to get another cornerback in probably round 3 or 4, because I think the Cowboys have 4 third round picks this year. So they can be able to go ahead and address a lot of their needs. But if they hit a home run here, Kyle Pitts, that makes a lot of sense, because since Dak Prescott has been here, he's loved tight ends. Jason Witten was one of his favorite targets.
Right.
When Witten left, you saw the struggle. Then, last season, okay, Dalton Schultz came up fine, but he loves his tight end targets. And if he can be able to have a guy that has deep ball, that is a deep ball threat 1, and is also a possession receiver, because most tight ends are, that's what you're looking for Dak Prescott. So in all actuality, Kyle Pitts is actually the better pick for the Cowboys because of what it can be able to set up for everything else. Because they can be able to possibly trade a Dalton Schultz, or trade a I can't remember the other guy's name that we have tight end. He tore his ACL last season, but that you have depth there. You can be able to get Pitts, and now you can be able to move and shake and do a little thing. So I'm curious to see what Jerry does. Jerry, if you're listening, move up. Just call Atlanta and say, what do you want for number 4? And let's just get this done.
Right. Yes. And that's funny because when the Eagles traded down, and I thought the Eagles are at 6.
Yeah.
They had a chance to get somebody like a Pitts or a Jamar Chase. If they, Pitts drops, he's going to be 5th, 6th. He's going to be in that range,
Yes.
5, 7 range. And I'm thinking to myself, why are the Eagles? I still don't understand why I know they're trying to get draft picks. They're trying to build slowly, but they went down to 12. But now they want to move back up into the top 7.
Right.
So what are they? Okay, you were at 6. You got those draft picks for next year.
Right.
So now Kyle Pitts is sitting. I'm thinking to myself, this guy is not just, he said, not as a tight end. He could be a receiver. He's going to maybe regarded as a
line him up out there.
Line him as a receiver, and then he's too big for corners, and then he's too fast for linebackers. So it's not like he can get open. So he's got enough speed, a lot of size, and he's going to find those holes in those defenses, kind of like a Travis Kelce, and just be able to be productive. And I think that's what the Eagles. I mean, that Jalen Hurts would have loved a weapon like that.
Yeah.
Also like Kyle Pitts. So I can see the Cowboys if they slip, if he slips, I can see the Cowboys, like you said, they'll scoop him right up. They're like, he falls right in our lap. We gotta get him.
Right, gotta get him.
Like CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb, like this. He literally just fell right into you guys' lap.
It was unbelievable.
It was unbelievable. I thought the Eagles were going to move up and get CeeDee Lamb. I said, CeeDee Lamb keeps dropping. He's not going to get past the Cowboys. He's not going to get past the Cowboys. If not, the Jets were going to pick him. So it's not like, we may see the same thing happen again. Like Kyle Pitts is not going to – he's not – if he keeps falling, the Cowboys are going to get him.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely. Now, like I said, you are – I want to know what you think about this. How did you feel when Carson Wentz was traded? Was it something that you expected? I shouldn't say that. Was it something that you wanted, like a clean slate? Because my opinion of what happened with that Eagles era is that once Carson Wentz got hurt and Nick Foles stepped in there and won that Super Bowl, it was over for Carson Wentz. Because Eagles fans are very loyal, and whoever wins it, they will forever look at that guy as the guy. I mean, think about it. There's a statue of Nick Foles at the stadium. So, as looking at it from Carson Wentz's point of view, it's like I will never be able to exceed that. So he was already behind the 8 ball, and then the fact that he was hurt. The weapons around him started to, dissipate. The offensive line wasn't that great. What are your thoughts on Carson Wentz? Did you want that to happen? And are you comfortable with Jalen Hurts?
I guess I have to be, right? Realistic, I gotta be, right? I have to be, the people that know me, I'm a huge Wentz fan. I've always liked Carson Wentz, and I'm happy for him that he gets to start over with the coach. And
he's going to be special over there.
Yeah, he's going to be special, right? Yeah. Like, I mean, the coach over there and, that was our offensive coordinator. He had his best year. And that was the year when they was 11-2.
Yes, before he got hurt.
Before he got hurt in the Super Bowl, then Nick Foles takes over, gets hot, and wins the Super Bowl.
Right.
But, yes, now, did I think Wentz was going to get traded? I thought they was going to let it have one more run with him. I really did. I thought that once they got rid of Doug Peterson, I thought, okay, they're going to commit to Wentz one more season. But I'm 100% with you on. I've been saying it too. Once Nick Foles won that Super Bowl, it was over for Carson Wentz. There was nothing he could do. He would have to win multiple Super Bowls just for the city, just to embrace him and everything too. I think everybody knows that he's the more talented quarterback over Nick Foles.
Right.
I mean, there's no question about that. And I just think he just never got that fair chance. Like they did commit to him, but they kind of didn't. They didn't go all in with him because it was I think he just had too much pressure on him. Now, last season, there was so much going on. Like, yes, he played terrible. Like, you can't deny that. Like, there was a lot of factors, but he played horrible. Like, the offensive line was decimated. They had 11 different offensive line combinations. no weapons around him, no committed weapons around him really. And Doug Peterson as a coach, I think he lost faith in him too.
Yes.
And the play calling was questionable, to say the least. So, and then Wentz was just terrible. But there was so much pressure. Then you draft Jalen Hurts second round. He's looking over his shoulder again.
Yes.
So a person can only take so much. Nick Foles, even the year after when Wentz got hurt, and Nick Foles, they almost went to the Super Bowl again.
Right.
Like if Alshon Jeffrey doesn't drop that football against the Saints in the second round of playoffs, maybe the Eagles get to the Super Bowl again. I mean, maybe they beat the Rams and they go against New England again. I mean, that's possible, but it was like, oh, here we go again.
Yeah.
Wentz is like, here we go again. I gotta look over my shoulder. So they got rid of Foles. Wentz has a great year the year after, but then they pick up, a second round pick. You don't pick a second round pick without having, a second rounder for a quarterback, and they're not going to play. And then I think it was just the pressure. So yeah, I'm glad he gets a fresh start. So but Jalen Hurts, I'm gonna give him a chance. I think he brought a spark. I don't think we've seen enough. So I'm not sure what we're going to get out of him. But if they're going to commit to Jalen Hurts, they got to commit to him. They got to commit to him fully.
Right.
And I'll see. He's got a good arm. His capability. He did win. He won at a high clip in college. So we'll see what we got with Jalen Hurts. I'm still on the fence, but I mean, I'm committed to him. I gotta be. I have to be.
Definitely. No, I respect that, man. Because the one thing about Jalen Hurts that I'm very iffy on is that his accuracy. He's never been an accurate quarterback,
right.
And accuracy is hard to fix for certain quarterbacks. If you don't come in being accurate, very little chance that you're going to be accurate in the NFL.
Right.
So we'll see how he develops that. But there's another last question about the Eagles, then we'll move to the NBA. How much time does Howie Roseman get? How many people does he get to fire, and how many different interchangeable parts does he get to pick and choose and put this and take this guy out? Like, when is it time for people to actually look at Howie Roseman and say he's the problem, not everybody else?
Right. It should have been this season. It should have been. I thought they was going to clean house. I really thought they was going to start from the top. I thought Leary was going to be like, okay, we're going to get rid of Howie Roseman, Doug Peterson,
right,
and then probably trade, Carson Wentz. We're going to just start over. We're going to have a new coaching. We're going to have a new coaching staff. We're going to have new management. We're going to go all in. Howie Roseman, for some reason, sticks around, and I don't know. I think he has this one season left. I think this has got to be it. He's got to draft well. He's never really had a great drafts at all, to say the least. And I think now this is the time. I think Jeffrey Lurie, maybe he is one of those relationships where maybe he has something on Jeffrey Lurie, and it's like, oh, I gotta keep him.
Yeah.
But how many times does this have to happen? Like, I don't know. I think it's Jeffrey Lurie now. He's getting more involved.
Yes.
He's saying Jalen Hurts should be the guy. So maybe Lurie's thinking, like, did I fire the right guy? Should I have kept Doug Peterson? I thought Peterson was going to get one more chance too. Right. I thought he was going to go, let's go one more run. We got to just get some more talent around Carson Wentz. Let's see. Maybe this was an anomaly. It was just a real bad year.
Yeah.
COVID year and all that. But who knows? But now I think Roseman has 1 year left to really turn this around. If he doesn't, I think he's gone.
Yeah, I just didn't understand it because you allow him to hire a new coach. If they fire him, now the new GM comes in and he doesn't get to pick his coach. So now that dynamic between head coach and GM is weird instead of it being simpatico. So I don't know, man. I think they botched that, but we'll see how they go forward. Now, the NBA right now is, we're in that lull period of seeing who's going to get into the playoffs, what seeding's like. And, I've always been critical of the NBA that they don't put importance on the regular season. Division titles are not celebrated. Things like that are not celebrated in the NBA. And it's why there's a lull period in the NBA. Do you feel that that's something that Adam Silver needs to address? Like, should they put, some onus on winning divisions? Should people that win divisions get the top 3 seeds in their conference rather than, it not mean anything, because I think if you put importance on winning your division, it will make the regular season more competitive, in my opinion. What do you
I
thoughts?
agree. I totally agree with that. I think they should put some more commitment to the regular season because back in the day, 70s,
Regular
80s,
season were big, man.
regular
Yeah.
season was big. We loved it. Like I used to love when like you saw the Bulls against the Knicks in Madison Square Garden
Sunday
or something like
doubleheaders.
that. Some of the headers.
Yeah,
It
man.
was huge. Like and now, but you got so much of this, the management of your, the time and
Oh, the load management is
load management, and it starts like when players are hurt, they could be out. As long as the team is right in the mix, they can be like, oh, we can sit out another couple of weeks.
Right.
We can sit this out. These players can do that. Yeah, load management, I think, has hurt the regular season.
Yes, it has.
And so Adam Silver, I think he should address this. And if he addressed that, I think that's what the load management, if he addresses like, we have to have players, if you're healthy, you need to play. That's just, because as a fan, I'm coming to see a game.
Right.
I'm coming to see, say, my favorite player. Say, I want to see a LeBron. I want to see Steph Curry. I want to see, whoever, Kawhi Leonard. And they're not playing. They come to the city, they're not playing because of load management. They're not hurt. They just want to take some time off.
Right.
I wasted my money. Like,
yeah.
I wanted to see these superstars because the NBA is built on superstars.
Right.
They're the one league that is built on the stars, the superstars. So yeah, I think if they put something like some type of commitment or some type of rule that you have to, unless you're hurt, you have to at least play this amount of games. It would make the regular season more competitive and things like that. So yeah, I totally agree with you on. I think that he should address this. And if you take money from their paychecks and things like that, they would be more committed to playing the regular season game. You get in their pockets, they'll definitely be more committed to the regular season game. But yeah, there's a lull of teams are fighting for position. I think the next 2 weeks, teams that are fighting for position. But as long as you make the playoffs, that's all teams really care about.
Right. Definitely, man. Now, who is outside of the noise in Brooklyn, because everybody likes to say that Brooklyn is a front runner. I don't particularly agree to that. I watch too much basketball to just say that they're the favorites. Now, who are your favorites in regards to who do you possibly see coming out of the East that's not Brooklyn, and who do you see coming out of the West that possibly is not the Lakers?
So for the East, I don't have Brooklyn either. I think with Brooklyn, if the chemistry is, if they come back and the chemistry is there, they should come out because they have the best talent from the top three.
Yeah.
But I don't see them because it could be a Kevin Durant injury. It could be a Kyrie Irving he wants to sit out game 3 of an important game because something's happened. James Harden, he's never really produced in the playoffs like that. So we have to worry about that.
It would be like he's sitting out anyway, Courtney, because he's not effective in the playoffs.
Right, he's not effective in the playoffs. So do we commit that? Like do we all of a sudden forget about that? Like come on, and I still don't feel like they have enough. I don't feel like they have enough depth to get out of the East. But
I'm with you.
If I had to pick the team to come out of the East, I think there's 2. I'm still a believer in the Milwaukee Bucks. For some reason, I think they're flying under the radar.
Yep.
Which maybe this is good because like the last 2 years they were the best regular season.
And the pressure was on. Right.
The pressure was on them. Now that nobody's really talking about them, Giannis could be like, okay, let's we have Jrue Holiday, we have players that can actually produce in the play. I still feel like they got to surround him with just a better, maybe more shooters.
That's a great point.
So maybe now with the pressure not on them as much, they can actually come out of the East. But I still feel like the Sixers may be the team to be in the East because there's no answer for Joel Embiid.
Right.
If he's healthy and in shape, we have to put if he's healthy and in shape. And he continues to he's playing MVP basketball right now. Oh,
yes, he is. He's my MVP right now.
Yeah, he's definitely top 2 in the MVP conversation. And they have competent coaching now. Like they have a coach that's been through it, has won a championship.
Yeah.
Doc Rivers. They have a guy that they hold them accountable, and they Ben Simmons got to get healthy and all these things. But I think the Sixers, they have shooting. They have one of the best players in the league. And Joel Embiid playing a high level. There's nobody in the East that can stop him. Right. So I still feel like the Sixers might be the team to be in the East. For the West, if you don't say the Lakers, I was on Denver, but now they got too many significant injuries, so I can't say them. I'm not a believer in Utah, really, not in the playoffs.
Yeah, nobody ever believes in Utah.
Yeah,
Ever.
not in the playoffs. I think they peaked early anyway. I think they peaked early. Portland, I just don't think they have enough. Even Dame could carry a series or two. I get, Clippers. I don't know if I'm going to fall for them again. I thought they were the
Don't
team.
do it. Don't do it.
I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. The Phoenix Suns are interesting.
Yes,
I think
they
that
are.
they with getting Chris Paul, who's also in the MVP conversation,
Yes,
turning them around with Devin Booker, with DeAndre Ayton. I mean, they're 7, 8 guys. Their rotation is good enough. I think that can contend. And Chris Paul, I mean, just his presence on the floor as a point guard, his presence on the floor. I mean, he turned OKC around.
right.
Now he's turning the Phoenix Suns around. So it's something about him, his intangibles, the way he plays. And he doesn't, with Devin Booker, he knows Devin Booker's the guy. So
Yeah.
he doesn't try to step over Devin Booker. And now Booker in the playoffs with Chris Paul, man, they're going to be dangerous. So if I had to commit to right today, without the Lakers, I think the Phoenix Suns could be the team to beat in the West.
Yeah. I mean, listen, all of those points that you made are fair, man, because, I always call Chris Paul the GOAT in honorable mention. Like, he is one of those guys that is like, he's an organizational, like he can uplift your organization. He's a culture changer. Like, if you bring him in, you know that he's not coming to mess around. He can go to the worst franchise and he's going to say, we are winners. I don't want you guys thinking that you're losers. We're going to come in here. We're going to compete. We're going to win. And he brings that energy. And, you've always heard stuff about Chris Paul in regards to people not wanting to play with him. And he's too hard to play for because he's too demanding. Well, he gets results in regards to getting his teams to the playoffs. So, if you got a guy like Chris Paul on your team, you have to listen to him. Now, granted, he's never been to an NBA Finals. He got close. That's fine and all. That's a knock on his career. Okay, cool. But he's still a great culture, builder. And that's why I had wanted him for the Knicks. The Knicks are doing great right now.
Yeah.
If they would have got Chris Paul, the Knicks would have been probably a top 2 team in the Eastern Conference right now.
Yeah.
But to going back to your point about Milwaukee, I am 100% in agreement with you. Like, I think Milwaukee has what it takes to beat a team like Brooklyn. I think that they have the defense. I think that Drew Holiday is a significant upgrade to what they had last year with Eric Bledsoe. Eric Bledsoe was never a championship level point guard to me. Drew Holiday is. Drew Holiday can defend. He can score. He can create his own shot. So you have guys that can be able to now compete on a dog level with Giannis. Now you have Drew Holiday. You have what's my man's name? PJ Tucker.
Tucker,
that are gritty and they can be able to just mix it up. So I like them. The only problem that I have with Philly, I like Philly. I love Embiid. I think he's doing phenomenal things this season. His maturity. I think he's a little bit more mature this year. He's been very immature in his career, but this year he's taken another step. The only problem that I have, Courtney, is it's got to be Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers is my issue. Because although he's a upgrade to what they had,
Brett Brown,
Doc Rivers is the only coach in NBA history to blow 3-1 leads. And it matters because, I always look at it like this. Players get you to the playoffs. Coaches win you championships. It all depends on what those coaches are doing in regards to adjustments quarter to quarter, game to game, which leads a team to win titles. Doc Rivers, outside of one particular special year with the Boston Celtics, has fallen flat in regards to execution and what he's supposed to do to get this team over the hump. So I'm very concerned with him because he's been in this situation before. He's had uber talented teams, but they've always seemed to choke when you don't want them to. So he has a lot to prove. Embiid has a lot to prove in regards to him being the leader and the focal point of a team. Ben Simmons has a lot to prove. So they all have a lot to prove. So maybe that's what galvanizes them together and makes them get over the hump. But man, Doc Rivers, to me, I'm telling you, he makes me nervous. He really makes me nervous because I don't trust him. I don't trust him.
And that's a good point, because the last time we saw Doc Rivers in the bubble with the Clippers, how they self-destructed, and you know, he got all the blame. I mean,
it wasn't his fault.
It wasn't right. Yeah, you know, Paul George, and they didn't really want to be there. Paul George's poor play. Kawhi just didn't seem right. Like it was just like one of those years. But the Clippers were so talented, as you said. Talent alone should have got them into and they blew that lead. They blew, like you said, they blew the lead to Denver.
Right.
And they should have beat Denver.
Right.
But you're right. I think that's a fair point, because Doc Rivers, he sometimes gets in his own way. I think it's almost I don't know what you call it. It's just one of those things, like he coaches great teams. And like you said, when it comes to the playoff, I mean, yes, can he motivate him? And I think it is a huge upgrade over Brett Brown.
Yes.
I mean, Brett Brown, he just looked like a deer in headlights the last few years.
Yes.
And I thought maybe he should have been fired 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah. To your point, you know, Brett Brown was always a developmental coach to me.
Yeah,
and they made the mistake of letting Monty Williams walk out the door.
Yes.
They should have fired Brett Brown that year and gave Monty Williams the job. But go ahead.
Yeah, they should have. Yeah, of course. I agree with that. I totally agree with that. And now with Doc Rivers, he does have Joel Embiid playing at such an exceptional level. Like he's playing at an MVP level.
Yes.
And if he continues to be motivated, don't get injured, Sixers are dangerous. But yeah, they all have pressure on him. Ben Simmons definitely has pressure on him because, you know, Ben Simmons, as talented as he is, there's always still something missing with his game. Like, and it's not even just the jump shooting or the lack of it. It's just something like, I don't know if it's the motor. I don't know if it's something that's not in him, but maybe Doc Rivers can get that out of him. But I think now they've surrounded them with they got Danny Green's playing at a really good level. I mean, I was just reading something that he's like his career highs in 3-point percentages, and he's lost stuff defensively, but he's still a decent defender, you know, defensive, you know, perimeter defender. And you got Seth Curry. I mean, Chris Curry, like that's another Curry. He's not the level of Steph, but he can still shoot.
He can shoot it.
The Curry name. I mean, this is in his sleep. So they got shooters. They had the pieces to make a great run. I tell you this: if they don't make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, they're going to have to blow that team up. I think that's where the pressure, like, oh, Ben Simmons, we got to get rid of you. There's something. Tobias Harris is having an all-star caliber year.
Right.
So it's set up for them to at least make the Eastern Conference Finals. If they don't, they're going to be there's going to be some people are going to really be like, look, we got to get rid of some players. We got to start this over.
Yeah. Now, you know, you made a great point there. And I want to segue into the team that I think if they don't make a run, they're going to have to blow it up. And that's the Boston Celtics. I think the Boston Celtics right now, Courtney, they are in a quandary. They are in a tough spot because I like Jason Tatum. I like Jaylen Brown, but that's about it. I mean, you look at that roster, Courtney, and it's not impressive. It's not an impressive roster. And for years now, decades, I've been screaming to the heavens, that Danny Ainge is one of the worst GMs in the league.
Yes.
He's one of those guys that if it doesn't feel like he won the trade, he won't do it. This is why, you know, everybody say, oh, well, he got, you know, Evan Fournier from the Magic. The Magic were giving him away. They wanted
for nothing, basically.
So in that situation, of course, he's going to go after Evan Fournier because he's not giving up anything. But every time a big player was on the market, when Anthony Davis was out there, oh, the Celtics are in the mix. James Harden is out there. Oh, well, the Celtics are in the mix. They're always in the mix, but he never knows how to pull the trigger because he's not that good. And you saw in regards to the roster construction this year, and then not even this year, years before that, when he signed Al Horford to that big deal. Al Horford was a big, vital piece of that team. And he let Horford walk for nothing.
Nothing.
And didn't replace him. Then you let Gordon Hayward walk out the door for nothing. And you don't replace him. You see what Gordon Hayward's doing in Charlotte now. Obviously, he's hurt and banged up, but he's still having a productive season. Those are things that you need to look at when you look at a GM or president of basketball operations. he's not that good. And if they don't get to where they want to be, which is the NBA Finals, Courtney, it's not the Eastern Conference Finals. They've been there
No,
already.
they've
They
been there a
have to
couple
get to
times.
the
Yeah.
NBA Finals. I don't look at it as Brad Stevens' fault, but Brad Stevens may end up getting the blame for it because obviously it's always the coach first. They're gonna look at the coach first, then they're gonna look at the roster, and then look upstairs. They should be looking upstairs first and then everything else, because that's where the problem's coming from.
Yeah, exactly. And I was all in with the Celtics last couple of years because I thought, like, okay, you got Kemba Walker last year. If Kemba is the Charlotte Kemba Walker, but he hasn't been there. He's been injured. He's been hurt.
He's been banged up. Yeah,
he's been banged up, and it just seems like I don't know. Maybe this season it just seems like the chemistry's off. When he came back, I mean, he's starting to get it going now, and that will help. But as you're right, it's that roster construction of the Celtics, and that goes to Danny Ainge.
Right.
And Danny Ainge, I remember he at one point the Celtics had all these draft picks,
and they do nothing with them.
They did nothing with them. Like, you could have traded, you could have got Anthony Davis, and you're right, Kawhi Leonard. You could have made some moves to get Drew Holiday something to help out Tatum and Brown.
And what's funny about that, I'll make you finish your point. He drafts guys like Grant Williams, Ojale. Like, these are the things that you did with all of these draft picks. You've done nothing with them.
Exactly.
Nothing with them.
You were loaded with picks. There was that protected pick. I think it was from the Clippers, I believe, that they had for a long time, and he done nothing with it. It's like, oh, this is the pick. This is the pick. Like, but you done nothing with it. So, yes, you did. Yeah, you got Tatum, got Brown. Marcus Smart. I do like what Marcus Smart brings, but the offense is just they don't have enough offense. That's their issue. I think the offensive talent outside of Tatum and Brown and sometimes Kemba, it just doesn't mix. But you go and get Tristan Thompson, who brings you nothing. Like, okay, yeah, he brings you size, but that's it. Like, he's your starting center. Gordon Hayward, I thought, was a huge mistake.
Yes.
And I remember talking, we shout out Gabby Hurlbut, like I said, she's a huge Celtics fan.
Yes.
And we were talking about that, and I was telling her, like, the Gordon Hayward move is going to bite you guys, because this is a guy that can handle the ball. He's real good offensively.
Right.
Maybe he didn't fit their system, but you got a guy that was a ball handler. You need somebody else besides Kemba that can handle the ball. Get you 17 points off the bench easily. Gordon Hayward can score. He's a scorer. He can handle the ball, and he can play a little bit of defense. So, but they just let him go. Like, they just let him go. And I think if they would have kept him, that they would have been a top 3 team in the league, like in the East. I don't think they're going to run into Philly. They're going to run into Milwaukee. They're going to run into Brooklyn.
And they're going to lose.
And they're going to lose. They're going to lose. And they're not going to beat. I don't think they're going to beat any of those 3 teams. And they might be the 4th, maybe the 5th best team in the East, maybe. But I don't know. I think they don't have enough offensively to get to the Eastern Conference Finals again.
Yeah, definitely. And definitely want to talk about the Knicks before we get out of here. How impressed are you with the Knicks?
Very impressed. I'm very surprised of how good they are. Like, they have committed. Like, they're finally relevant again. We'll just say that.
Yeah.
And I think getting Tom Thibodeau, I think that was one of the best moves they could have ever done, because Thibodeau can coach. Like, this guy is a good coach, a solid coach. He holds these guys accountable. He's unlocked Julius Randle. I mean, Julius Randle is playing the MVP. He's in the MVP conversation.
Oh yeah.
I mean, people cannot even deny that. And the way they're constructing a roster now, it seems like now they're committed to winning. And I'm very surprised of how good they are. I thought like they could be at 8th, 9th, one of those things. That would have been a impressive thing for them to be, but to be whether it's 5th now, 6th or something like that in that range,
the 5th, something like that.
The 5th right now, and they've won 10 straight, 10 straight, is amazing. So I mean, shout out to the Knicks, and finally now committing to the talent that they have, constructing a roster that can actually be a winning roster, and then this can build for years on end now.
Absolutely.
But Thibodeau, I think getting Tom Thibodeau to coach them, hold the players accountable and things like that, he did it in Chicago. Not so much in Minnesota. It was just a bad
Yeah.
match with him, with Jimmy Butler and Karl Anthony Towns and those guys. But Thibodeau now, he's a solid coach. So yeah, the Knicks have been very impressive.
Yeah, man. Like, I definitely agree with everything you said. With Tom Thibodeau, shouts to Homer Simpson. That's what I call him. He's
Yeah.
he's a great motivator. He's a hard-nosed guy. He's a New York guy, and it works out when he can just coach. I think what happened to him in Minnesota is that they were so enamored with him when he was in Chicago. There's okay, well, we're gonna make you the GM as well. That's not his job. That's not his job to pick players. His job is to mold these players and to get them to do what he needs them to do. What the most impressive thing to me with the Knicks is that defensively, how good they look.
Yes.
They are a team. I'm telling you, Courtney, it all depends on the playoff matchup. If they have a favorable playoff matchup, they can be able to cause some damage, some real damage.
Yeah.
They may be able to win a playoff round. I'm not saying that they will, but with that defense, they have a chance to do so because they lock people up. They really do.
They do. They got dogs, and that's Thibodeau's calling card. I mean, the knock on Thibodeau was his offense. It was the way his offense was. When he was in Chicago, it was Derrick Rose and everybody else.
Right.
It was a Derrick Rose didn't have a good game. It's almost kind of like what the Warriors are going through. Then now Steph Curry's got to play so outworldly for them to even be competitive. And Curry is not going to be able to sustain this run.
Oh no, he's getting tired. If you
it's super impressive. And that's what with Thibodeau, like it was Derrick Rose, and then it was like they committed to hard-nosed defense with those Luol Dengs, Joakim Noahs, and all that. So the Knicks have that type of formula where they're defending and they're defending hard, but that's Thibodeau's calling card is defense. But he has enough offensive guys that can actually create their own shot and do their own thing. And it's good to see, and shout out to Worldwide West too for that they're finally letting the front office is not a joke, and they're letting he's trying to bring a winning culture. I didn't think it was going to be this quickly, but hey, I mean it's good for the NBA when the Knicks are this good. It's great for the NBA.
Yes,
when the Knicks are this good, but Worldwide West is now they're finally maybe committed to putting a winning product on the court.
Right, definitely. Shouts out to Leon Rose as well. So
Leon Rose too. Yeah.
So I agree with you. I think what's been holding the Knicks back for years, decades, is that they're always watching other people's players. Right.
Yes.
Knicks fans are the most knowledgeable sports fans or basketball fans on the planet because they know everybody's player, they know everybody's stats, and they say, "Oh, this guy's he's gonna look good in New York. He'll come to New York." Everybody wants to come to New York. I think finally what they've done is that they've realized we have to build our own stars. We can't wait for guys to want to come here. If we build a culture from inside, develop these guys, then people will want to come here. If the environment is toxic, nobody wants to play here. So what you're seeing is that RJ Barrett is starting to play better. You have Emmanuel Quigley. You have, Julius Randle, who stepped up his game. I never thought coming out of Kentucky he would be this type of player. But, he's built himself into this player. He's built himself into a good three-point shooter, shooting over 40%. He's built himself into a great passer. He's still not a great defender, but on a team concept type of team defense, he can be able to hold his own. So, they're building and creating their own stars. And this is what they should have been doing from day one. So the fact that they're doing this now, kudos to them for actually figuring it out, that you need coaches, you need development, you need to scout, you need to draft well, and everything else will fall into place. You can't operate like the Lakers. The Lakers are the team that they can get any star they want because it's the Lakers and it's California, it's LA. You can be able to sell that. New York is a little different. You know what I mean? So, just like Oklahoma City, they realize that they can't pull the big stars. So what do they focus on? Drafting well and developing their guys. And this is why, out of many organizations in the history of basketball, look how many MVPs they've had come through their ranks. Look how many good players they've come through that have come through their ranks. So, it's kudos to them of how they know they know themselves. They know how to develop. They know how to draft, and they stick within what works for them. The Knicks now are doing something similar. and that's why they're having some success. So if they end up getting a big time free agent next season, that's kudos, and that's all because they've put in the work. They've put in the work the right way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I like what I'm seeing. I definitely like what I'm seeing.
Yeah. The development, if they could commit and continue to commit to that, and develop that culture, like you said, that winning culture, develop these young players that they get in drafts, and then they can be able, like you said, they can swing for the fences to get
exactly
a big superstar. It's not that, like you said, like it was 70 years ago, it was like, oh, they're getting LeBron. Oh, we're gonna get D Wade.
Right.
It's the Knicks. They're always getting someone.
Right.
We're gonna get Chris Paul. We're gonna get all these guys.
Yeah.
At that time, it's like, well, develop it first.
Exactly.
And then that one superstar you will get. You said they're not the Lakers. Lakers can do that because they are LA.
Right.
They're Hollywood. They get they can sell that, and it sometimes it works for them, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they can get the LeBrons, they can get the Anthony Davises or whatever. They can do those things, but now, the Knicks, I think if they could continue to commit to that, they should. They could be a good, like a really good team within these next few years and continue to build. Yeah,
I agree. It's just like the Field of Dreams movie. They say if you build it, they will come, and that's how they need to focus on. You know what I mean? So
right.
Before you get out of here, Cody, I like to play a little game my guests call Rapid Fire, where I just kind of spit out some names and you give me your opinion on who's better. And I'm not gonna debate you. This is your opinion, and we just we just move on. So let's see. Let's start with football. Better quarterback, Tom Brady or Joe Montana?
Ooh, Tom Brady.
Okay.
He's the GOAT now. Yes.
Okay. Let's see. Better quarterback, Peyton Manning or John Elway?
Ooh, I'll go with Peyton. I think Peyton Manning's yes, and slightly. Now I'm a huge Elway, but I go Peyton.
Okay. Better quarterback. Last with the quarterbacks. Drew Brees or Dan Marino?
I'm gonna go with Drew Brees. I'll say Drew Brees. Yeah.
All right. So you going completely new school.
yeah. That's interesting. I'm usually the old school, but I'll go Drew Brees. Yes.
That's fair.
yeah.
Better running back, Marshall Faulk or LaDainian Tomlinson?
Marshall Faulk.
Nice. I'm a Marshall Faulk fan too. I love him.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Better Eagles quarterback, Donovan McNabb or Randall Cunningham?
Gotta go with my man Randall. He's one of my favorite Eagles of all time. Love Donovan, but the guy Randall's, he's always gonna have something in my heart. One of my first games. So yeah, Randall Cunningham.
That's fair. All right. Better receiver, Terrell Owens or Randy Moss?
Randy Moss.
Really? Okay. I like that.
Randy Moss. Yeah,
like
Randy
that.
Moss.
Let's see. Better defensive lineman, Aaron Donald or Michael Strahan?
Ooh, Aaron Donald. I think he's got definitely the goods to continue. Yes, I think he's gonna. Yeah, I gotta go with Donald.
Okay.
Yeah.
My one baseball question. I always ask people this one. I'm curious. Better player, Barry Bonds or Ken Griffey Jr.?
Gotta go with my man Ken Griffey, man. That was my favorite player growing up, man. Gotta go with Griffey. Love Bonds. I do love Bonds, but I gotta go with Griffey.
All right, that's fair. All right. Better defender, Draymond Green or Dennis Rodman?
Dennis Rodman, easily.
Yeah, I'm with you. Better defender, Kawhi Leonard or Scottie Pippen?
Scottie Pippen.
Nice.
Gotta go with Pippen. Yes. I mean, Pippen was him and Rodman and Jordan when they were, definitely. They were terrors, man.
It was ridiculous. It wasn't fair. Better shooter, Ray Allen or Reggie Miller?
Ray Allen. Gotta go with Ray. Yeah, definitely gotta go with Ray Allen. I think just because he could do it a little bit more, definitely off the dribble.
Yeah.
And get a shot off. So I gotta go with Ray on that one.
Nice. Better point guard, Isaiah Thomas or Chris Paul?
Isaiah Thomas.
Nice.
Yeah, gotta go with Zeke. Yes, Zeke, definitely.
All right. Better pure passer, Magic Johnson or LeBron James?
Magic. I think Showtime Lakers, they was just something to watch, man. And that size, what he can do. Yeah, they got to go with Magic. It's the better pure passer.
Definitely. Got you. Let's see. Better pure scorer. We're just talking about scoring now.
Okay.
Michael Jordan or James Harden?
Still MJ. I think if you put MJ against anybody, I think, yeah, it's got to be. I think it's definitely Michael Jordan.
Got you.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, who would you rather have? Steph Curry or Allen Iverson?
Ooh. I'm going to go with Curry on this one.
Yeah.
I love AI, but I'm a Curry guy, so I got to go with my man Steph. Yeah, I think I got to go with Curry.
That's cool. Okay. Yeah. Better 7-foot scorer, Dirk or Kevin Durant?
Ooh, that's a good one. I gotta go KD. I think KD's he could do a little bit more than with Dirk.
He's a hybrid. He's a freak.
Yes. I think he's actually what Kevin Durant might be the best pure scorer we've ever seen too.
It's definitely debatable. Yeah, but he's up there. He's up there.
Yeah.
Let's see. Last one. Who would you rather have as a big man? I'm going to give you 3. Okay. Is it Hakeem Olajuwon, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, or Shaquille O'Neal?
Every time I do these rankings, I always have Kareem up there. So I got to go Kareem slightly over Hakeem and Shaq. But yeah, I think Kareem, just because of the longevity of his career, I got to go. Kareem, to me, is the top 3 player of all time. So
100%. 100%.
Yeah, got to go Kareem.
I'm with you. I go Cap all the time. I'm a Lakers fan, so I'm biased.
Yeah.
I love Shaq, but man, the Cap was special. So, he
was special. He was special. He played at a high level for many, many years. So got to definitely go Kareem.
Yeah, man. Well, listen, Courtney, this was fun, man. Thank you for coming on the show. Just tell everybody, what you got going on right now, what you got going on for the future as well.
Well, thanks a lot, man, for letting me come on the show. Yeah, this was a lot of fun. I really appreciate you. I appreciate what you do, man. Your podcast is definitely one of the best I've heard. So I
appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. But thanks for letting me come on the show. You can find me on all social media, most all social media platforms. At Get the Real Deal on Twitter. You can follow me on Instagram, CJ Harden 79, Facebook as well. You can follow the show again at Get the Real Deal. It's on Spreaker, Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Google Play, and wherever you can find it, Real Deal with Courtney Harden. And just keep on looking out. I put out a lot of content, on Zoom, but the show is usually on Saturday. That's the normal show. But I put a lot of shows on Zoom also during the week. So yeah, they'll definitely continue to follow the show and just trying to get it to the level, just try to keep building up and get it to a real good level.
Nah, definitely, man. Definitely. Just keep grinding. Like, us fellow podcasters, we got to stick together. So
yeah,
if there's anything you need, any advice, I'm always here. I'm always here to lend a good word. So, just keep grinding out there, man.
Yeah, you too. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate it, man.
Definitely. I'd like to thank my man, Courtney Harden, for coming on the show. Great conversation, chopping it up with him. Check out his podcast, The Real Deal. He's an Eagles fan. I'll forgive him for that. Just as long as they don't do anything crazy and trade up in the draft and go get Kyle Pitts. Because if they do that, then me and Courtney are going to have some problems. Coming up after the break, the greatest segment on the planet, Dummy of the Week. On a Saturday. It's all even.
Yo, it's your man DJ G Money from that Flip the Script podcast. You see it? We in the studio right now. Flip, shut up. Yeah. Oh, listen. Shout out to the All Even podcast. My man Barry Grant Jr. What's up, man? What happened? What you want to say to the people?
Shout out somebody else's podcast.
Yeah, my nigga the joint. What's up?
All Even.
All Even podcast.
Yo, it ain't even up here, boy. We put this. Yo, what's up, man? All Even. Yo, you. Oh my God. What's up with you, man? Now that's a shout out. You keeping this?
Yeah, keep all that. You want to jump
All Even podcast, right?
Yeah, All
Shout
Even.
out to All Even podcast, right? All Even. That's your man.
My man.
All right, shout out to All Even podcast.
100%. He cool. Is he cool? Let me see. Is he cool?
Yeah. What is it, G?
Oh.
Shout out, G.
He cool, man.
This is the God, Gents and Gals. Just want to give a shout out to All Even Podcast. the best sports podcast out there. Keep up the amazing work. Also check us out at cigargentsandgals.com. We're everyday apparel for cigar smokers. Let's get it.
What's going on? What's up with you? It's your boy, the Candyman, the ALFRE to the D. It's your boy, Alfred from the Rap Lab Podcast.
And it's the one and only True G. Just call me the QG from the Rap Lab Podcast.
And you tuned in to All Even with Barry Grant.
Boy, that shit crazy.
Welcome back, y'all. So without further ado, the greatest segment on the planet, Dummy of the Week.
Dummy, yeah.
We pick candidates on Tuesday and Saturday, and then we pick the winner on that Saturday show. So let's just get right to it, shall we? May I have the drum roll, please? And the winner is the European Super League. And whoever created this idea is my
Dummy, yeah.
because it was all good a week ago, right? Everybody was talking about this European Super League, and they're gonna have 20 of the top teams in all the world to be able to be in this league and make a lot of money because of the COVID. It affected a lot of financial pockets of these rich billionaires and these football clubs. Grand opening, grand closing. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you ever had an idea that sounded good in your head, and then when you pitch that particular idea to people, they're looking at you like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. It's never going to work. And then you be like, okay, all right. You know, it sounded good when it was in there, but, you know, when I actually said it, you got me. This is exactly what this Super League is. You had all these clubs, all these billionaires talk about, oh yeah, this is a great idea. We can be able to make more money on top of money. And we're going to be able to affect all of the other leagues and all the other clubs and all this other stuff. But we don't care because it's all about us. Wrong. Fans said, we don't want this. And in quick succession, all of these owners come out with their press clippings or their announcements that they've backed out of the league. Owner of the Liverpool FC, John Henry, took to his Twitter or Instagram and he had like a 2.5 minute spiel about fans. You know, we appreciate you guys, and yes, it was a mistake. We should have had more information and kept you more informed. BS. The backlash is what stopped you guys from going through with this. Had the fans be like, yeah, it's a great idea, we love it, it would have continued. Now, here's the kicker, though. Real Madrid's president, Florentino Perez, says, no, these teams can't leave. They can't leave. There's a binding contract. So all of the 6 or 12 teams that already left, they can't leave. This is a complete, say it with me, dumpster fire. This is a joke. You can't make this up. You cannot make this up. And FC Barcelona, they've come out and said, well, you know, we're going to see how things go. We're going to see how it goes because, you know, we're confident that this can be able. The only reason why they care is because they're broke. They are like $2 billion in the hole or something like that. They are broke. They need money. They need money in the worst way. So they don't care how they get it. If they're going to patrol themselves on the side of the street to go get it done, they will do it. They will do it. Why? Because they have no choice. This is a joke. It's a circus. This is Big Top, Ringling Brothers. This is... You would think that these European clubs, they actually have like intelligent people that are running their business, their operations. Wrong. Wrong. They just go ahead and say, hey, we should just start this thing. Hey, let's do it. Like no kind of like conversation. You don't have any focus groups. You don't put out a survey to your fans. You don't. No. It's just some billionaires boys club that wants to do something that they think they can do because that's how billionaires think. You can't tell them what to do. They're going to do whatever they want. They're going to say whatever they want. And they're going to go ahead and say that it's for your benefit. We're doing it for you. It's the fans. You're supposed to back us. Nah. Nope. Fans are saying, we don't want this garbage. Take it back. And when you take it back, make sure you burn it. And make sure when you burn it, you actually put water on it again to make sure all the particles get all wet and soggy, and it can't be saved, can't be salvaged. Get rid of everything that has to do with this stupid idea. Sheesh. And here I thought Major League Soccer in this country was a dumpster fire. Hold my beer. So all these teams in the European Super League, the only thing staying around is the stink of rejection. But all of you are winners for Dummy of the Week. That's all for this show. That's all for this week. I'll see you guys on Tuesday. Until then, stay safe, stay cool. Peace. You can catch me on Twitter and Instagram at All Even Podcast. Listen to the show on Anchor, Spotify, SoundCloud, and wherever podcasts are available. And check out my YouTube channel, All Even Podcast. And don't forget to share, like, and hit that subscribe button.